My name is Chloe, and I am 22 years old. Today is my college graduation, the biggest day of my life so far. But instead of riding in a car with my proud family, I am standing at a bus stop wearing my cap and gown. My parents could not drive me because they were busy picking up a brand new Tesla for my younger sister. She is not even graduating. She just turned 18. Today, I walk across that stage knowing something they do not. Before I tell you what that secret was, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from today. And if you have ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Because this story is for everyone. Whoever had to fight for recognition they deserved. Trust me, you will want to hear how this ends. I grew up in suburban Philadelphia in what most people would call a normal middle-class family. My father, Richard, is 54 years old and works as a sales manager at a pharmaceutical company. My mother, Diane, is 52 and works part-time as a real estate agent. And then there is my younger sister, Brooke, who just turned 18. She is 4 years younger than me, and from my earliest memories, she has always been the star of our family. Brooke was born premature and spent several weeks in the neonatal intensive care unit. My parents always called her their miracle baby. Even as a small child, I understood what that label meant. Brooke was special. I was just ordinary. The evidence of this was everywhere if you knew where to look. Brooke got dance lessons starting at age 5. She had gymnastics classes 3 times a week, voice coaching sessions every Saturday, expensive summer camps where she learned horseback riding and tennis. Meanwhile, I got hand-me-down clothes from my cousin and was told that the family simply could not afford both of us doing activities at the same time. Since Brooke was already enrolled in dance, it made sense for her to continue. That was always the explanation. It always made sense for Brooke to get what she wanted. When I made the honor roll in 6th grade, my mother glanced at my report card and said, "That is nice, honey," before returning to her phone call. When Brooke received a participation trophy for showing up to half her dance recitals, my parents took us all out for a celebration dinner at her favorite restaurant. I sat there eating my pasta and watching my sister bask in praise for accomplishing absolutely nothing, and something inside me shifted. I stopped expecting recognition from my parents. I stopped hoping for applause. Instead, I learned to achieve for myself and myself alone. Despite the complete lack of support from my family, I excelled academically. I was not just a good student. I was the best student. I graduated as valedictorian of my high school class, which should have been a moment of immense pride for any parent. But on the night of my graduation, my parents were not in the audience. Brooke had a dance recital the same evening, and they chose to attend that instead. My mother told me they would watch the recording later. They never did. I stood at that podium and delivered my valedictorian speech to an audience where my designated family seat sat completely empty. I looked out at all those proud parents, all those families cheering for their children, and I felt a coldness settle into my chest that is never fully thawed. That night, I made a decision. I would build my life without relying on anyone, especially not my family. I applied to colleges in secret, knowing my parents would not help pay for my education. They had already started talking about how expensive Brooke's future college would be, how they needed to save for her opportunities. My education was never part of their financial planning, so I worked harder than I had ever worked before, and I earned a full academic scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania. When I told my parents the news, my mother's response was, "Well, at least you will not cost us anything." There was no celebration, no pride, just relief that I would not be a financial burden. I moved into my dormitory with secondhand sheets, a used laptop, and more determination than most people accumulate in a lifetime. I worked part-time jobs throughout all 4 years of college. I was a library assistant during freshman and sophomore year. I worked at the tutoring center junior year. I became a research assistant for one of my professors senior year. Every semester, I worked at least 20 hours per week while maintaining a near-perfect grade point average. I majored in biomedical engineering with a minor in business. And after my freshman year, I never asked my parents for a single dollar. I built my life brick by brick with no foundation from my family. Meanwhile, my sister Brooke coasted through high school with a C average. She barely graduated, but my parents blamed her teachers. "They do not understand creative minds," my mother would say. "Brooke is artistic. She learns differently." There was always an excuse, always a reason why Brooke's mediocrity was someone else's fault. After high school, Brooke announced she wanted a gap year to find herself. My parents agreed immediately and funded her travel to Europe. $8,000 for a 3-month trip that accomplished nothing except giving Brooke some Instagram photos. She came back after 3 months because she got bored, not enlightened. Brooke got a part-time job at a clothing boutique. She quit after 2 weeks because the manager was mean to her. Then she announced she was going to be an influencer. My parents bought her camera equipment, ring lights, a new phone, everything she said she needed to launch her content creation career. After 1 full year of posting videos and photos, Brooke had 300 followers. Most of them were relatives and her old high school friends. But my parents still praised every single post. "You are going to be famous," they would tell her. "You are so talented." Then Brooke totaled her first car. She was texting while driving and rear-ended another vehicle. She was not hurt, thankfully, but the car was destroyed beyond repair. Within a month, my parents bought her a replacement. No consequences, no loss of driving privileges, just a new set of keys and a reminder to be more careful. And now, for her 18th birthday, my parents had outdone themselves. A brand new Tesla Model 3. I looked up the price. $60,000 for a car for a girl who had accomplished nothing in her entire life. I did the math one night sitting alone in my tiny apartment near campus. My entire college education, including the scholarships I earned and the jobs I worked, cost less than that single car. The disparity was staggering, but by that point, it was no longer surprising. This was simply how my family operated. Brooke received everything. I received reminders that I was on my own. 1 week before my graduation, I called home to coordinate timing with my family. I wanted to make sure they knew exactly when to arrive, where to park, how to find the right entrance. I had been looking forward to this day for 4 years, and despite everything, some small part of me still hoped my parents would show up and finally see what I had accomplished. My mother answered on the third ring. "Of course we will be there, honey." "What time again?" "The ceremony starts at 10 in the morning," I told her. "I need to be there by 8:30. I was hoping someone could drive me since I will be wearing my gown and carrying my things. I do not have a car and the campus is 45 minutes from home." There was a pause on the other end of the line, a pause that made my stomach drop. "Oh," my mother said slowly, "that Saturday. Yes, May 18th. I have told you the date at least 5 times, Mom. I sent you the invitation. It is on the calendar I shared with you. It is just—" My mother continued, her voice taking on that defensive tone I knew so well. "That is when we are picking up Brooke's car. The dealership appointment is at 9. It is the only slot they had available." I gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. "Can you reschedule? This is my graduation, my college graduation, from an Ivy League school. We already put down the deposit," she said, as if that settled everything. "It is non-refundable. And your father specifically used a vacation day for this. He could not use a vacation day for his daughter's college graduation." Instead, my mother sighed heavily, the way she always did when she felt I was being unreasonable. "Do not make this into a thing, Chloe. You can take an Uber or something. I cannot afford Uber from our house to campus. That would cost at least $60 each way. I am a broke college student, Mom." "Then take the bus," she said. "You are resourceful. You always figure it out." Those words echoed in my head long after I hung up the phone. You always figure it out. She was right. I always did figure it out, because I had never had any other choice. The following weekend, I borrowed my friend's car and drove home to talk to my parents in person. I thought maybe if I was standing in front of them, they would understand how important this was. Maybe they would look at my face and see how much I needed them to choose me just this once. When I walked into the living room, my parents were sitting on the couch with Brooke flipping through Tesla brochures. My sister was practically bouncing with excitement. "I want the white one with the black interior," Brooke was saying. "It looks so sleek." "Whatever you want, Princess," my father said warmly. "This is your special gift. You only turn 18 once." I cleared my throat loudly. "Can we talk about graduation?" Brooke rolled her eyes dramatically. "God, you are still going on about that." My mother looked up at me with an expression that was somehow both annoyed and dismissive. "Chloe, we already discussed this. The dealership appointment cannot be moved." I felt heat rising in my chest. "Mom, I am graduating summa cum laude from an Ivy League school. Do you understand what that means? I am the first person in this family to ever get a 4-year degree. The first one. And you are choosing a car pickup over watching me walk across the stage. My father finally spoke, but his words offered no comfort. We will try to make the ceremony after we finish at the dealership. It is only supposed to be an hour appointment. We might catch the end. The end? My name starts with M. Dad. I will walk in the first half of the ceremony. If you wait until after the dealership, you will miss me completely. He shrugged, turning back to the brochure. We will watch the live stream then. They stream these things online now, right? Brooke snorted. Literally nobody cares about graduation ceremonies. They are so boring. Just a bunch of people walking and shaking hands. My mother nodded in agreement. Brooke has a point. It is just walking across a stage, Chloe. It is not like you are performing or anything. I stood there in the middle of my parents' living room, absorbing their dismissal like a punch to the gut. 4 years of working myself to exhaustion. 4 years of juggling jobs and classes and research and internships. 4 years of building something from nothing. And my parents would rather watch a live stream from a Tesla dealership than sit in the audience and witness what I had achieved. But here is what my parents did not know. Here is what I had told no one. I was not just graduating summa cum laude. I was graduating as the top student in my entire engineering school, 4.0 grade point average, the highest academic achievement in a class of over 300 students. And because of that, I was receiving the Dean's Medal at the ceremony. The Dean's Medal is the most prestigious honor our school offers. It comes with a $25,000 cash prize. $25,000 deposited directly into my bank account because I was the best. But that was not all. 2 months before graduation, I had received a job offer from one of the top biotechnology firms in Boston. The position was junior research engineer. The starting salary was $115,000 per year, plus a $40,000 signing bonus, plus a full relocation package that covered my moving expenses, temporary housing, and even a rental car for my first month. I had accepted the offer 2 weeks earlier. I was moving to Boston in July to start my career. And there was more. 3 weeks before graduation, I received an email from the dean's office. I had been selected as the student commencement speaker. Out of thousands of graduating seniors, they chose me to address the entire class and their families. My speech was about invisible excellence and overcoming the limitations others place on you. I had been working on it for weeks. And finally, a major national magazine was doing a feature story on first-generation college graduates, students who came from families with no college education and succeeded anyway. I had been selected as one of 5 students to be profiled in the article. A camera crew would be at my graduation filming me, interviewing me, documenting my journey. The article would publish the following week and reach millions of readers. My parents knew none of this. I had considered telling them. Part of me desperately wanted to see pride in their eyes just once, but their reaction to my simple request for a ride to graduation killed that desire completely. If they could not show up for a basic ceremony, they did not deserve to know about the medals and the speeches and the magazine features. They did not deserve to share in my success. So I kept my secrets close. I would walk across that stage knowing things they could not imagine, and they would find out the hard way exactly what they missed. May 18th arrived cold and gray. I woke up at 5:30 in the morning, too nervous and excited to sleep any longer. I showered, did my hair carefully, applied my makeup with steady hands. Then I put on my cap and gown. The gown was deep blue, the color of our university. Around my neck hung 3 honor cords: a gold cord for summa cum laude, the highest Latin honor, a blue cord for engineering honors, and a silver cord for leadership recognition. Each cord represented countless hours of work sacrifice and determination. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt proud, despite the ache in my chest. At 6:45, I walked 3 blocks to the bus stop near my apartment. The morning air was damp and chilly, threatening rain. I stood there in my full graduation regalia, cap and gown, and honor cords, clutching a small bag with my phone and wallet and tissues. Other people at the bus stop stared at me openly. An elderly woman with kind eyes smiled at me. Graduation day. Congratulations, sweetheart. That is wonderful. Thank you, I said, fighting back the tears that seemed determined to fall. Where is your family? She asked innocently. Are they meeting you there? Something caught in my throat. They are busy this morning. I am meeting them later. The woman nodded, but I saw sympathy flicker across her face. She could tell I was alone, and she felt sorry for me. Somehow, that made everything worse. The bus arrived, and I climbed aboard with my small bag. I found a seat by the window and watched the city pass by as we rumbled toward campus. I checked my phone. No texts from my parents. They were probably still sleeping, resting up for their exciting day at the Tesla dealership. In a few hours, they would be taking photos of Brooke posing with her new car while I walked across a stage they would never see in person. I thought about the breakfast my parents probably made for Brooke. Pancakes with chocolate chips, her favorite, streamers and balloons in the kitchen, just like every birthday. Meanwhile, I had eaten a granola bar standing alone in my tiny apartment kitchen. The bus ride took 42 minutes and required 3 transfers. By the time I arrived at campus, it was 7:50. I had made it with just enough time to spare. The graduation venue was already filling with families. Cars pulled up to the entrance, constantly disgorging proud parents and excited siblings and grandparents with cameras. Balloons bobbed in the morning breeze. Bouquets of flowers appeared everywhere. People were hugging, laughing, crying, happy tears. I walked past all of them alone. Inside the staging area, I found the ceremony coordinator and checked in. She reviewed my speaking time with me, showed me where the microphone would be positioned, and walked me through the sequence of events. I would give my speech after the university president's welcome address. Then I would return to my seat. Later in the ceremony, they would announce the special honors, and I would walk up again to receive my dean's medal. The dean of the engineering school approached me personally. Her name was Dr. Catherine Wells, a woman in her early 60s with silver hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. "Chloe, I want you to know how proud the entire faculty is of you," she said warmly. "Your journey through this program has been remarkable. We do not often see students who work as hard as you while receiving zero family support. You have impressed every professor you have worked with." I thanked her, genuinely touched by her recognition. This woman, who barely knew me personally, had taken the time to acknowledge my achievement. That was more than my own parents could manage. Then I saw her, the journalist from the magazine. Her name was Samantha, and she was in her late 30s with curly brown hair and an energetic smile. She hurried over to me with a cameraman trailing behind her. "Chloe, it is so great to finally meet you in person. The camera crew is all set up. We are going to get footage of your speech and your medal presentation. The article is going to be incredible. Your story is so inspiring." We talked for a few minutes about the filming schedule. They would capture me walking in with my class, giving my speech, receiving my medal, and celebrating afterward. They wanted candid shots, 2 moments that showed the real me. One of my classmates approached. His name was Marcus, a tall guy with a friendly face who I had studied with many times over the past 4 years. "Where is your family?" he asked, looking around. "My mom wants to meet them. She has heard me talk about you so much." I forced a smile. "They could not make it. Car dealership appointment." Marcus stared at me. "Are you serious?" Today of all days, I shrugged, trying to appear unbothered. "It is fine. I am used to it." But it was not fine, and I was not as used to it as I pretended to be. The ceremony began at exactly 10 o'clock. 10,000 people filled the stadium, a sea of faces stretching back farther than I could see. Graduates assembled by school, and because I was receiving special honors, I sat near the front of the engineering section. I scanned the crowd out of habit, knowing I would not find familiar faces. My parents were not there. My sister was not there. I was utterly alone in a crowd of 10,000 people. The university president welcomed everyone. The board chair spoke about tradition and excellence. Honorary degrees were presented to accomplished alumni. And then it was my turn. The student commencement speaker this year is someone who exemplifies everything our university values, the announcer said. "Please welcome Chloe Marie Patterson." I walked to the podium on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. The sea of faces blurred before me. The camera crew's red light blinked steadily. I gripped the edges of the podium to steady myself, took a deep breath, and began to speak. "I took 3 buses to get here this morning," I said, my voice clear and strong despite my nerves. While some of you arrived in limousines with proud families and bouquets of flowers, I arrived alone on public transportation in my cap and gown. The bus driver wished me congratulations. A stranger at the bus stop told me she was proud of me. Those were the only acknowledgments I received for graduating at the top of my class from an Ivy League university. A murmur ran through the crowd. I had their attention now. I am what they call a first-generation college student. No one in my family has ever earned a 4-year degree. For many of you, college was an expectation. For me, it was a distant dream that required years of fighting to achieve. I worked 20 hours a week throughout all 4 years of my education. I maintained a 4.0 grade point average while juggling jobs, research, and classes. I did this with no financial support from my family, no safety net to catch me if I failed, and no one waiting in the audience today to witness what I have accomplished. I paused, letting the words settle over the crowd. But here is what I learned through all of that struggle. Excellence does not always come with a cheering section. Sometimes it comes with silence, with empty seats, with no one watching. And that does not make it less excellent. If anything, it makes it more remarkable. Because when you achieve greatness with no one supporting you, you know beyond any doubt that the accomplishment belongs entirely to you. I looked out at the thousands of families gathered to celebrate their graduates. To everyone here who made it against the odds, I want you to know that I see you. To the students who worked full-time while earning their degrees, to the students who took out loans they will spend decades repaying, to the students whose families doubted them, dismissed them, or simply did not care enough to show up today, your accomplishment is not diminished by those who failed to witness it. Your worth is not determined by who is sitting in the audience. My voice grew stronger with each sentence. So today, I want you to graduate for yourself, not for anyone else, not for the family members who may or may not appreciate what you have done. Graduate because you earned it. Graduate because you survived it. Graduate because you proved that you are capable of remarkable things regardless of whether anyone was paying attention. I straightened my shoulders and delivered my closing words. I took 3 buses to get here. I will take 3 buses home. But when I leave this stadium, I will leave knowing that I achieved something extraordinary, entirely on my own terms. And no empty seats, no missed ceremonies, no absent parents can ever take that away from me. Congratulations, class of 2024. We did it. The stadium erupted in applause. People rose to their feet. I saw Dean Wells wiping tears from her eyes. The university president was nodding with visible emotion. I walked back to my seat feeling more powerful than I had ever felt in my entire life. I did not need my parents to validate this moment. I had created it entirely by myself. After the general diploma distribution, the ceremony moved to special honors. The dean of each school presented awards to outstanding graduates. When it was time for the engineering school honors, Dean Wells returned to the podium. "The Dean's Medal is our highest academic honor," she announced. "It is awarded to the graduate who has achieved the highest academic standing, while demonstrating exceptional leadership and contribution to our university community. This year's recipient has earned a perfect 4.0 grade point average while working part-time throughout her entire education. She has contributed to published research, mentored younger students, and served on multiple leadership committees. Please join me in congratulating this year's Dean's Medal recipient, Chloe Marie Patterson." I walked to the stage again, my heart soaring. Dean Wells placed the medal around my neck. It was heavy gold engraved with my name and the university seal. She shook my hand warmly and whispered, "Your father would be proud if he had any sense." I did not know whether to laugh or cry at that comment. "Along with this medal comes a $25,000 prize," the announcer continued in recognition of exceptional scholarship. The crowd applauded again. The camera crew captured every second. I looked out at the audience one more time, knowing my parents were not there, but feeling no emptiness, only pride, earned and undeniable. After the ceremony ended, graduates dispersed to find their families. The stadium became a chaotic sea of hugging relatives and popping camera flashes. I stood somewhat apart from the celebration, watching classmates embrace their parents and pose for photos. Marcus found me in the crowd. His mother was a small woman with the same friendly face as her son. "You must be Chloe," she exclaimed, pulling me into an unexpected hug. "I watched your speech with tears streaming down my face. And that medal Marcus told me you were brilliant, but he did not tell me you were the best student in the entire school." I thanked her, genuinely touched by her warmth. "Where is your family?" she asked, looking around expectantly. "They had another commitment," I said carefully. "They could not make it." Marcus's mother's face cycled through several emotions. Confusion, then understanding, then something that looked like protective anger on my behalf. "Well," she declared firmly, "you are celebrating with us. I will not have you standing here alone on your graduation day. Come. We are going to lunch, and I want to hear all about this magazine article Marcus mentioned." So I spent my graduation celebration with Marcus's family. His parents asked me questions about my research, my job offer, my plans for Boston. They took photos of me with Marcus. They treated me like I mattered. At some point, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Brooke's Tesla is gorgeous. She is so happy. How was graduation? Did we miss much?" Attached was a photo of Brooke posing triumphantly next to a sleek white Tesla. Her smile was enormous. My parents flanked her on either side, beaming with pride. I stared at that photo for a long time. My sister's 18th birthday Tesla. $60,000 of parental devotion wrapped in white paint and black leather interior. While I took 3 buses to receive the highest honor my school could give me, I typed back a simple response. "It was fine. I have some news, but we can talk later." Then I put my phone away and returned to Marcus's family. They were arguing good-naturedly about which restaurant to choose. His mother wanted Italian, his father wanted seafood. Marcus was lobbying for barbecue. They included me in the vote as if I had always been part of their family. I would deal with my parents later. Today belonged to people who actually showed up. That evening, I drove back to my parents' house. I had borrowed Marcus's car because he insisted I should not have to take the bus again after such an important day. When I pulled into the driveway, I could see through the front window that the house was decorated with balloons. But the balloons did not say, "Congratulations, graduate." They said, "Happy 18th birthday, Brooke." Of course. I walked inside and found my family gathered in the dining room. The table was set with Brooke's favorite meal, steaks cooked medium rare, loaded baked potatoes with extra cheese, a fancy chocolate cake from the expensive bakery downtown. This was a celebration dinner, but not for me. Brooke dominated the conversation before I even sat down. "The acceleration is insane," she was gushing about her new car. 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds. "And the touchscreen controls everything. It is literally like driving a spaceship." My parents listened with rapt attention, asking question after question about features and range and charging stations. I sat down quietly and began eating my steak, which was overcooked, because my mother had forgotten how I liked mine prepared. Finally, after nearly 20 minutes of Tesla discussion, my mother turned to me. "So how was the graduation, Chloe? Good," I said evenly. I gave a speech. My father reached for another roll, barely glancing up. "Oh, that is nice. Can you pass the potatoes?" Brooke wrinkled her nose. "Wait, why did you give a speech? Were you like class president or something?" "Commencement speaker," I said. I was selected to address the entire graduating class. There was a brief pause in the conversation. My parents exchanged uncertain glances. "That is nice," my mother said again, the same word she had used for every accomplishment of my life. "I also received the Dean's Medal." More silence. My father finally looked at me directly. "Dean's Medal. What is that?" "The highest academic honor the engineering school gives. It means I graduated with the highest grades in my entire program. And it comes with a $25,000 prize." The silence stretched longer this time. My mother set down her fork. $25,000, she repeated. "Yes, deposited into my account next week." My father straightened in his chair. I could see calculations forming behind his eyes. "I also accepted a job in Boston. Starting salary is $115,000, plus signing bonus, plus relocation package." Both parents were staring at me now. Even Brooke had stopped talking about her car. "Why did you not tell us any of this?" my father demanded. I met his eyes calmly. "You did not ask. You were busy with the Tesla." The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. My mother's expression shifted from surprise to defensiveness. Well, how were we supposed to know? We cannot read minds, Chloe. You could have come to my graduation, I replied. You could have been in the audience. You could have heard my speech and watched me receive my medal. Instead, you chose to sit in a car dealership. Brooke scoffed loudly. Oh my God, are you seriously still complaining about that? It is not like graduation is a big deal. Everyone graduates. Not everyone graduates summa cum laude from an Ivy League school, I said quietly. Not everyone gets selected to speak at commencement. Not everyone receives the Dean's Medal. But you would not know that because you barely graduated high school. Brooke's face flushed with anger. Excuse me. My mother jumped in immediately. Chloe, do not be cruel to your sister. There is no need for that. I stood up from the table. I am not being cruel. I am being honest. Something this family has apparently never valued. I am going back to campus. I have packing to do. I moved to Boston in 6 weeks. I walked out before any of them could respond. As I drove away in Marcus's borrowed car, my hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. I had said what needed to be said. The secrets were out, and now my family would have to sit with the knowledge of exactly what they missed. The following Wednesday, the magazine article published online. The title of the piece was Against All Odds, First-Generation Graduates Who Defied Expectations. My section was prominently featured second in the lineup of 5 student profiles. The photos they used were striking. One showed me standing at the bus stop in my cap and gown looking determined but alone. Another captured me at the podium during my speech, 3 honor cords visible around my neck. The third was a close-up of Dean Wells placing the medal around my neck, my face glowing with earned pride. The article quoted me extensively. My parents could not drive me to graduation, one quote read. They had a car dealership appointment. Another said I took 3 buses in my cap and gown while my family picked up a $60,000 car for my sister. And my personal favorite, I was named top of my class, but my family chose to watch the live stream from a Tesla dealership. The article went viral within hours. People shared it across social media platforms with comments ranging from outraged to inspired. I watched the share count climb from dozens to hundreds to thousands. Those parents should be absolutely ashamed of themselves, one popular comment read. This woman is incredible. Her family does not deserve her. Buying a Tesla, while your daughter takes the bus to her Ivy League graduation. This is disgusting parenting. Someone needs to send this article to those parents and let them see how the whole internet views them. My phone exploded with notifications, LinkedIn requests from executives who had read the article, messages from complete strangers calling me an inspiration, emails from young women asking how I managed to succeed without family support, and inevitably calls from my parents. My mother called 17 times before I finally answered. Chloe, what is this article? Her voice was shrill with panic. Everyone is sending it to me. My coworker posted it on Facebook. Your aunt called asking what is wrong with us. I told the truth, Mom, I said calmly. If the truth makes you look bad, that is not my fault. You made us look like terrible parents, she continued, like we do not care about you at all. Do you? I asked. Because from where I am standing, it seems like you care about Brooke and only Brooke. It has been that way my entire life. That is not true. We have always supported you. I almost laughed. When name one time you showed up for me, one time you prioritized me over Brooke, one time you celebrated my accomplishments the way you celebrate hers. Silence on the other end of the line. I will wait, I said. More silence. That is what I thought. I have to go, Mom. I am packing for Boston. I hung up and blocked her number temporarily. I needed space to process everything that was happening. The article had exposed what I had known my entire life. Now the whole world knew too. 3 days after the article published, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Brooke using a friend's phone because I had stopped answering calls from our home line. You ruined my life. Everyone at school saw the article. They are making fun of me, calling me the spoiled Tesla girl. Someone spray-painted "spoiled" on my car. I felt a brief flicker of sympathy for my sister. Whatever her flaws, she had not asked for our parents' favoritism. She had simply accepted it because it benefited her. But my sympathy faded quickly when I remembered every eye roll, every dismissive comment, every time she had actively participated in making me feel worthless. I responded carefully. I am sorry people are being mean to you. That was not my intention. But I told my truth. I cannot control how people react to it. You are jealous. Brooke's response came immediately. You have always been jealous of me. Just because you are boring and study all the time and have no life. Brooke, I typed back. I have a degree from an Ivy League university. I have a six-figure job waiting for me. I have $25,000 in prize money. I am being flown to Boston next week for apartment hunting on my company's expense account. What exactly do I have to be jealous of? She did not respond, probably because there was no good answer to that question. 2 weeks later, my parents requested a family meeting. I agreed reluctantly and met them at a neutral restaurant, a place none of us had been before. When I arrived, my parents were already seated at a corner table. They looked older somehow, stressed, tired. My father cleared his throat as I sat down. Chloe, we need to discuss something with you. I waited. The Tesla, he continued hesitantly, and some other expenses for your sister over the past few years. We may have overextended ourselves financially. My mother jumped in. We took a second mortgage on the house to pay for Brooke's gap year trip and her car. And your father's company announced layoffs last week. He might be affected. I sat very still processing this information. We were hoping my mother continued since you have that prize money and your new job starting soon. Maybe you could help us out, just until things stabilize. There it was, the real reason for this meeting. My parents had not contacted me to apologize. They had not reached out to repair our relationship. They wanted money. The daughter they had ignored, dismissed, and abandoned was now their financial hope. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. You want me to bail you out financially after everything that has happened, after you skipped my graduation for a car, after you spent my entire life treating me like I did not matter. Now that you need help, suddenly I am worth talking to. My parents shifted uncomfortably but did not deny it. I took a deep breath. This was the moment I had somehow always known was coming. Not consciously, but somewhere deep inside. The knowledge that eventually my parents would need me more than I needed them. And I would have to decide what kind of person I wanted to be. I looked at my parents across that restaurant table. Two people who had spent 22 years making me feel invisible. Two people who had poured everything into my sister, while giving me nothing but criticism and neglect. And now they sat before me with their hands out, expecting the daughter they had dismissed to save them. But another part of me, a quieter part, recognized that revenge and bitterness would only poison my own life. I did not want to become someone who withheld help out of spite. That was not who I worked so hard to become. So I made a decision that surprised even myself. I am not going to let my family lose their home, I said carefully, but I am also not going to enable the patterns that created this mess in the first place. So here are my conditions. My parents leaned forward, desperate but wary. Condition 1, Brooke sells the Tesla. I heard my mother's sharp intake of breath. Somewhere across town, Brooke probably felt a disturbance in the universe. Use the sale money to pay down your credit card debt, I continued. Get her a reliable used car instead. Something sensible. Something earned. Condition 2, Brooke gets a real job, full-time employment, within 30 days. Not content creation, not influencing. An actual job where she shows up every day and works for her paycheck. Condition 3, family therapy. All four of us. Weekly sessions. We need to address why you treated Brooke and me so differently and figure out how to move forward as a family. If we are going to have any relationship at all, it has to be built on honesty. Condition 4, if I help with the mortgage, it is a loan, not a gift. I expect repayment when Dad's employment situation stabilizes. Everything will be documented legally. No verbal agreements, no handshake promises. A real contract. My father's face reddened. Chloe, we are your parents. You want us to sign a contract? Yes, I said simply. Because trust is earned, not assumed. You have had 22 years to earn my trust. You failed. These conditions are how you begin rebuilding it. My mother started to argue, but my father put his hand on her arm. She is right, Diane, he said quietly. His voice sounded defeated, but also somehow relieved. We did this to ourselves. We take her terms or we lose everything. There was a long pause. I watched my parents exchange looks, having one of those silent conversations that married couples develop over decades. Finally, my mother nodded. Okay, she said. We agree. I pulled out my phone to make some notes. Brooke needs to be told about the Tesla sale, and she needs to be part of the therapy sessions. This only works if everyone participates. I will call her tonight, my mother said. I nodded and signaled for the check. One more thing. I want to be clear that I am doing this because it is the right thing to do, not because I owe you anything. You do not get to hold this over my head or act like I should be grateful for the opportunity to help. This is me choosing to be a better person than I was taught to be. My parents had no response to that. What could they possibly say? Over the following weeks, changes began to happen. Brooke listed the Tesla for sale and received an offer within days. The white car with black interior sold for $52,000. That money went directly toward paying off the majority of my parents' credit card debt. Brooke cried for 3 days about losing her car. Then she went out and bought a 7-year-old Honda Civic with part of her remaining savings. She hated it, but for the first time in her life, she was driving something she had actually paid for herself. The job search was harder. Brooke had never held a job for more than 2 weeks. Her resume was essentially blank. But desperation has a way of motivating people, and within 3 weeks, Brooke landed a position as a receptionist at a dental office. Entry level, minimum wage plus small commission on appointment bookings. Nothing glamorous, but real. My father survived the first round of layoffs at his company. He came home one evening looking lighter than he had in months. Not out of danger yet, but not unemployed either. And we started therapy. The therapist's name was Dr. Eleanor Sims. She was a woman in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and an unflappable calm that made it impossible to hide from difficult truths. Our sessions were painful. My mother cried during the first 3. My father barely spoke during the first 2. Brooke alternated between defensive anger and genuine confusion about how she had benefited from such obvious favoritism. But slowly, through those difficult conversations, things began to surface. My mother admitted that she had been overlooked in her own childhood. Her younger sister had been the pretty one, the popular one, the one their parents adored. My mother spent her whole life feeling invisible. When she had her own daughters, she unconsciously recreated that dynamic. She made Brooke into the special one she had always wished she could be, and she made me into the role she had occupied, the invisible daughter. My father admitted that he had always taken the path of least resistance. Agreeing with my mother was easier than fighting with her. Focusing on Brooke was simpler than dividing his attention. He had failed me not out of malice, but out of weakness, out of a desire to keep peace at any cost. Brooke admitted that she had always known somewhere deep down that the way our parents treated me was wrong. But acknowledging it would have meant giving up her privileged position. So she chose not to see it. She chose comfortable blindness over uncomfortable truth. These admissions did not fix everything. Years of damage cannot be undone in a few therapy sessions. But they started a conversation that had never happened before. For the first time in my life, my family was actually talking about the elephant in the room, instead of pretending it did not exist. I contributed $15,000 toward the mortgage documented as a formal loan with repayment terms and interest. I kept the rest of my prize money for my move to Boston. The family had a clear path out of crisis if they stayed disciplined, and I watched them start to change. Not completely transformed, not suddenly perfect, but trying. That was more than I had ever expected from them. July 1st arrived warm and bright. I loaded my belongings into a rental car and drove from Philadelphia to Boston, a journey of about 5 hours. My new company had arranged a beautiful apartment in Cambridge, not far from their research facility. 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, big windows with a view of the Charles River. I spent my first evening unpacking boxes and arranging furniture. Every item I placed had been chosen by me, paid for by me, earned by me. No hand-me-downs, no leftovers, no reminders of being second place. I hung my Dean's medal on the wall where I could see it from my desk. Every morning when I sat down to work, I would see that gold circle and remember what I was capable of achieving. My first day at the new job exceeded every expectation. My colleagues had seen the magazine article. Many of them approached me to express admiration for my story. My boss, a woman named Dr. Helen Tran, pulled me aside after orientation. "Chloe, we do not just hire credentials here," she said. "We hire character. Your academic achievements are impressive, but your resilience is what made us fight to bring you on board. You are exactly the kind of person we want building the future of this company." Those words meant more than she could possibly know. The work itself was challenging and stimulating. I was surrounded by brilliant people who treated me as an equal. No one here saw me as the other daughter or the overlooked sibling. They saw me as Chloe, talented engineer with a bright future. I had finally found my people. I made friends with my coworkers. A woman named Samira became particularly close. She was 28, a software engineer, and also a first-generation college graduate. We bonded over shared experiences of imposter syndrome and family guilt. She had gone through her own journey of setting boundaries with relatives who tried to undermine her success. "I know exactly what you mean," she told me over coffee one afternoon. "My parents still do not really understand what I do. They think I play with computers all day. But at some point, you have to stop waiting for their approval and just live your life." She was right. I was learning that lesson more deeply every day. 6 months after my move, I returned to Philadelphia for Christmas. The house looked different when I pulled into the driveway. Simpler somehow, less cluttered. I later learned my parents had sold unnecessary items to help reduce their debt. The days of excessive spending were over. Inside, the decorations were modest but warm. A real tree instead of the expensive artificial one they used to put up. Homemade ornaments mixed with store-bought ones. It felt more genuine than the elaborate displays of previous years. Brooke greeted me at the door. She looked different too. Less polished, but healthier somehow. She was wearing scrubs from her job because she had worked a half day before the holiday. "Hey," she said almost shyly. "Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas," I replied. We stood there awkwardly for a moment before she spoke again. "I got promoted last week. Assistant manager. I am in charge of scheduling now and I get a small bonus." I felt surprise and something like pride. "Brooke, that is great. Congratulations." She shrugged, but I could see she was pleased. "It is not a Tesla, but I actually earned it, you know. Feels different." It was such a small moment, such a simple exchange, but it represented something I never thought I would see. My sister taking pride in something she had worked for instead of something she had been given. Christmas dinner was different from any I could remember. My mother asked about my work and actually listened to my answers. She asked follow-up questions. She seemed genuinely interested in the research I was doing and the problems I was solving. My father engaged too. He wanted to know about Boston, about my apartment, about my colleagues. He did not check his phone once during the entire meal. When we exchanged gifts, I received presents that showed someone had thought about me specifically. A book I had mentioned wanting to read during one of our therapy sessions. A scarf in my favorite shade of blue. Small things, but they meant everything. For the first time in my memory, I was not an afterthought. After dinner, my mother asked to speak with me privately. We went to the back porch wrapped in coats against the December chill. "Chloe," she began slowly, "I have been working with Dr. Sims on something I need to say to you directly, just the two of us." I waited, not sure what to expect. "I know I failed you," she continued. "Not in small ways. In fundamental, devastating ways. I told myself I was protecting Brooke because she was fragile, because she needed extra attention. But really, I was recreating my own childhood. I was trying to rewrite my history through my children. And I made you into my old role. The invisible one. The one who got overlooked. I spent your entire life punishing you for something that was never your fault." She was crying now, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You were punished for being capable," she said. "For not needing me. For being strong enough to survive without my help. And the truth is, you needed me just as much as Brooke did. You needed a mother who showed up, who celebrated you, who made you feel seen. I was not that mother. And I have to live with that failure for the rest of my life." I stood in silence, absorbing her words. This was what I had wanted to hear for 22 years. The acknowledgement, the admission, the truth spoken aloud, instead of buried under excuses and deflection. I am so sorry, Chloe, she finished. I know sorry does not fix anything, but I needed you to hear me say it. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. Hearing those words felt both healing and hollow. Healing because it was real acknowledgement of real harm. Hollow because the lost years could never be recovered. All those empty seats at my achievements. All those celebrations I watched from the sidelines. No apology could give those moments back. But I could choose what to do with this apology now. I could hold on to anger, or I could accept what was offered and try to move forward. Thank you, Mom, I said finally, for saying that. I cannot promise everything is fixed. There is a lot of damage and it is going to take time. But I can promise to try to move forward. We hugged on that cold porch. It was not a perfect moment. It was not a movie ending where everything suddenly made sense. But it was real. It was honest. And it was a start. 1 year after graduation, I sat in my Boston apartment watching the city lights sparkle outside my window. So much had changed since that morning at the bus stop. I had gone from standing alone in my cap and gown to building a life I genuinely loved. The path between those points had been painful. Confronting my family, exposing the truth, setting boundaries with consequences. None of it was easy. But all of it was necessary. My family is not perfect. We may never be the close, warm family I once wished for. But we are trying. My parents are paying back the loan according to schedule. Brooke is now assistant office manager at the dental practice, promoted twice in 1 year. My father kept his job and received a small raise. My mother closed 2 real estate deals, her best year ever. We still do therapy together once a month. The sessions are less painful now, but still important. We are learning to be honest with each other in ways we never were before. And me, I am thriving. My work is meaningful and challenging. My colleagues have become genuine friends. I am dating someone wonderful, a pediatric surgeon I met at a charity fundraiser. He does not care about my family drama or my complicated history. He cares about who I am now and who I am becoming. I think often about what I learned through all of this. Your worth is not determined by who shows up for you. I took 3 buses to my graduation and still earned the highest honors my school could give. The empty seats in the audience did not diminish my achievement. They just revealed who could not see my value. And that was information about them, not about me. Speaking your truth has consequences, but silence has bigger ones. The magazine article changed everything, not all of it comfortable. But the alternative was carrying the secret forever. Pretending the disparity did not exist. Truth hurts temporarily. Lies hurt permanently. People can change if they choose to, but you cannot force them. My parents are changing because they hit bottom and had to confront what they had done. I gave them conditions and they chose to meet them. But if they had not, I was prepared to walk away. You can offer the opportunity for change, but you cannot guarantee the outcome. Success is the best response to being underestimated. Every achievement I earned was fuel, not for revenge, but for proof. Proof that the people who dismissed me were wrong. My success does not require their validation. It exists independent of their opinion. And finally, forgiveness is for you, not for them. I am working on forgiving my parents, not because they fully deserve it yet, but because carrying resentment weighs me down. Forgiveness means releasing the grip of the past. It does not mean forgetting or excusing. It means choosing peace over bitterness. I walked across that graduation stage knowing secrets my parents would soon beg me for. But the biggest secret was not the money or the job or the magazine article. It was this: I never needed their validation to succeed. I just wanted it. And there is a profound difference between needing and wanting. Needing gives other people power over your happiness. Wanting is just a preference, not a requirement. I wanted my parents to be proud of me, but I did not need their pride to build a life worth living. So if you are watching this and waiting for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself, I want you to stop waiting. Take the bus to your graduation if you have to. Wear your cap and gown on public transportation. Let people stare. Let them wonder why you are alone. Then walk across that stage and claim what you earned. Because your success does not depend on who is sitting in the audience. It depends entirely on who is standing on the stage. And that is completely up to you. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Have you ever achieved something amazing while the people who should have celebrated you were focused somewhere else? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Let us build a community of people who succeeded against the odds. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories about overcoming obstacles and finding your own strength. And share this video with anyone who has ever felt overlooked or undervalued. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this journey with me. I hope wherever you are in life, you know that your worth is not determined by anyone else's inability to see it. You are valuable, you are capable, and you deserve to take up space in this world. Until next time, keep believing in yourself even when no one else does, because sometimes that is all you need.